Hello, welcome to Yarn Lane. We are the hello, everyone saying hello. The only shopping channel in the UK totally dedicated to everything yarn. Aren't they gorgeous? I just have to tell you, these are gorgeous. I saw them on the website because we didn't, when we unpacked everything, they weren't here. I just saw the pictures on the website. They're even more beautiful in real life because Kat and I were like going this morning, which is your favourite? Which is your favourite? So let me take you first of all, because you can get in touch with us, but you can also buy straight away now on the website. So you go to www.yarnlane.com. You click on watch the live show. If you want to send a message in, you can do in the little white box there. They go through to producer Kat, cushion, sir. She's put. But also you can send me a picture on Facebook, not picture, a message on Facebook Live as well. Anyway, scroll down the page because look, right, which one's your favourite? We've got Purple Rain, which is already flying out on pre-order. Now, was that Kat's favourite? No, hang on, move along. So then we have the Summer Pinks. Now, you'll notice it's slightly different. We'll talk about that in a second. Summer Pinks. Then we've got, whoa, which one's called? Technicolor. That's beautiful. Well, it is a bit, I was thinking about Jason Donovan and his coat. That will look very like Jason. Then, now this one you see this one here, the, what's it called? Tutti Frutti. Not been made yet. But it will be made. We'll make the whole cushion in an hour. That's the challenge for today. And then last but not least, oh, I love, you see, I normally like the dark background with colours, don't I? But I love that one. That one's called Prism Brights, that one. Anyway, let me just explain something to you. You just saw, okay, you can see here, right? These have got the lines on them behind me. The other two on the other shelf there, I'll show you in a minute. One's a traditional granny square and one is made the same as these. The thing, you can choose. In these bundles I'm going to show you now, you get the pattern to do both the lined one and the traditional granny square one. So you can make that decision yourself. We'll talk about mixing and matching in a minute because Helen and I have completely different ideas on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, before we see Helen, I'm going to go through all of the bundles and show you what you get in everything and the graphics and everything like that. Once we've shown them, if you go to the website, the pre-order will disappear and they'll all be in shows deals, right? So you will get yours like this. They arrive like this in this lovely little bag here. Eco-conscious and ethical, woolly chic designs. Right, so this is the first one. This is the first one. Hang on, let me move those around like that. There you go. So this is your first one, right? For $29.99, woolly chic, purple rain, granny square, and stripes. You get the pattern. Let's do the pattern first of all. You get the pattern for both of them. So in here, let me just put my glasses on. You can do the square one, or you can do it like your traditional granny square if you want to. All the instructions are in here, everything you need to know. Traditional and, oh, what's it called? Alternative, the stripy one. Traditional and alternative, right? They're lovely. They're so beautiful. Now, I'm presuming that there's enough in here to do your back as well. Yeah. Nothing there to do the back as well. So all you need is a cushion padding because in your little carrier bag here, you do get a ball. Oh, this feels so fab. West Yorkshire Spinners, of course. Colour Lab. And this one is called Natural Cream. But wait till you see this here. Ooh. And it's called Purple Rain. It's called Purple Rain. But hang on, that's not everything. That's not everything. Yep. You get your 4mm crochet hook. And you get your buttons. Oh, they're beautiful. Look, they're even. Look, 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 look. How beautiful are they? You get four. You get 4 buttons. So you get the buttons, the hook, the yarn. Well, the wool, I can say wool on this, isn't it? Because it is West Yorkshire Spinners wool, this one. Reared, sheared and spun in Britain. I'm just trying to see what it says. What kind of sheep's it come from, this one? Is it a purple-faced, what's it? What's it called?
Blue-faced Leicester.
Oh, there you go, blue-faced. Is that a blue?
I think it's a whole variety of British breeds altogether.
Oh, okay then,
yeah.
I'll shut up then, right? Okay, so I'll put that in there, that's there. So you get all of that to make the Purple Rain one. Which is, no, Elliott's just getting the picture for you. There you go. There's Purple Rain. Finished size is what you say, Kat? 14 by 14. 14 by 14. So that one goes in there. I'm just making a mess of that. Right, so let's move on from Purple Rain to, oh no, don't forget that. Now, are these sent from you or are they sent from us?
They're sent by me.
So these will be sent out by Helen. Right, okay, so this one is called Prism Brights. We love this one. I love this. This, when I was a child, this would have sent me into sort of ecstasy. I just loved colours like this. Yep, so here we go. What colour buttons? Guess what colour buttons you get in this one? Oh, is it? How do you know? Oh, she spoiled. Oh, you didn't hear her. Yellow. No, yellow. And then you also get the natural cream with that one as well. Oh, you see, that's the back of your cushion. And there's the front of your cushion. I love that. We're going to concentrate on that one today. We're going to concentrate on that, not that colour, but that pattern. I'm going to leave that out of there because I'm creasing them. Okay, next. Next is a Summer Pinks. Right, this is the one that's made up as, oh, look. These are like all these beautiful berry colours, aren't they? Look. Summer Pink. So you do get the cream in there. You do get your hook and everything like that. That's beautiful, isn't it? Not prison, not like Elliot used to be, but prism. like when the light goes in and comes out. Yeah, and that makes this one. I just... There we go. So but you don't have to make it like that. You can make it with the stripes if you want to. Totally. Then I'm going to move on to Technicolor. Oh, you see, I don't know how you're going to pick. Look, oh. So that's Harbour Blue, and that's Technicolor. Joseph. Sorry about the noise upstairs. I know you can't hear it at home. I didn't do the buttons. There'll be pink buttons in that last one, won't they?
Yeah.
And these will be blue, I'm taking it.
Oh, I think they're purple.
Purple buttons in that one.
But they might be orange. I was waiting for orange ones to come.
Oh.
So, yeah, so you might get...
You might get
orange.
Okay, so
yeah, if they arrive
buttons are random.
Yeah.
Buttons are random. And then last but not least, now this one we haven't made up. You're going to see this one in the demo. This one is called Tutti Frutti. Now, that was a TV programme with, what was that man that lived in my street? Scottish, played cracker. Robbie Coltrane and Emma Thompson were in that. Oh. Yep. Right, not my road now. Didn't live in Stratford on Avon. When I lived in East London, he lived in the same road as me. Right, this is Tutti Frutti and Coral Crush. Coral Crush, and this is the one you're going to see being put together in today's show. You get the instructions, you get the hook, and you might get, well, I don't know what colour buttons you're going to get with that one. Could be purple, could be blue, could be pink, or won't be pink, will it?
No, purple.
No, purple or orange.
Purple,
right, purple, definitely purple. Right, okay. Beautiful. Helen, they are gorgeous. They're all lovely. The colourways and everything. And, hello, by the way.
Hello.
Can it still be called a granny square, even if it's not a granny square?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think a granny square can be anything that is crocheted in the round, making it square.
Oh,
and
okay.
so there are crochet books out there where you can get 100 different types of granny squares.
Oh,
so
right.
the possibilities with crochet are endless. It's brilliant. And the nice thing about a granny square is that it is so portable. You make them individually,
of course,
and then you put them together.
Yeah, so it's only right at the last minute you have a bigger piece to deal with.
That's
so
right.
let's just talk about, in the pattern, behind you, you've got your traditional, the pink one is your traditional granny square, and the square. They can make that. If you buy one, you can make either of those designs. Yeah. You only obviously get that colourway. So if you buy that pink one, the summer fruits one, you can make the summer fruits in either the traditional granny square or in the square one. There's enough wool in there to make one cushion.
That's right.
So you choose either or.
Yeah.
Now I said maybe you could mix them, and Helen's face was like a picture. It's like, well, you could.
You could.
Why would I mean? I love both of them. I am going towards the square one. I love the square because it's something different.
Yeah.
Would they look odd if you mix them? Do you think?
Well.
No, your own personal decision.
My own. Yeah, I think they look better if you stick with the same type of granny square and put them together. However, the nice thing is that people can make it their own.
Yes.
Make their own design and maybe put a traditional granny square type in the middle.
Yeah, we're on the same. Yeah, we're on
and
the.
then
Yeah.
the alternative granny square on the outside.
Now, if I do that and then I hate the traditional one in the middle, have I got enough yarn to make another one? Have I got to unpick the middle one?
Yes, you have. You've probably got enough to keep that as like for another project, because the nice thing about this this design is that the stripy yarn that you've got then makes the stripes at the back. But it might be worth just
Oh yeah, you can take one of yours down.
So I'll just turn these around.
Yeah.
And you can see
Oh.
that on the back, when I made
Yeah, I'll have a pea, please.
Yeah,
Carol. One from the top, one from the middle.
Yeah.
Right. So hang on. So that one's all striped.
Yes, because the traditional granny squares take less yarn, less of the stripy yarn than because it's more of a block. And I think people probably will make a decision of how wholly they, not holy as in holy, but how wholly they want their cushion cover to be. With the traditional granny square, you've obviously got more gaps in between your stitches.
Of course, yeah.
And you're going to see the cushion pad behind it more.
Right.
So that might be a decision where people think, well, the alternative granny square has got less holes, therefore it's more solid colours, and that might look better as a granny square.
If you decide to make the traditional granny square one, your backing can either be full-on stripes like that, or half and half like that.
Exactly.
But if you do the alternative ones, your backing has to be half cream and half stripes. Not criticism, I'm just saying so people at home don't start crocheting going,
yes.
oh,
I've run out of wool.
Yeah,
Exactly that. And also, if your cushion, if your actual cushion pad is bigger, like you'll see the difference in size of the cushions behind you. I had a bigger cushion pad, so I just made it a little bit bigger.
Right.
But I still had enough yarn.
Okay.
But the stripy bit was smaller on the Technicolor one.
Right. Okay.
So it's nice to be able to sort of adapt it to what size cushion you've got, you know, how much yarn you've got, whether you want just more sort of plain at the bottom or whether you want it stripy.
I love that, because you could have that, well, either of them, but especially the one with cream, I'd have that way round, you know, sometimes, because it looks lovely. Right, one question before we start crocheting. When you just said if you make the traditional granny square, you can see more of the cushion pad through it.
Yes.
Could you make a cushion cover for your pad in a silk or a fabric or cotton that goes behind, and you could just see that coming through from behind?
Yeah, if you're clever at sewing,
I'll do it for you.
Then you could make a nice actual fabric cover for your cushion, and then that could be showing through.
Yeah, rather than, because I know what my cushions are like at home, they're all a bit manky, and the actual pads behind, you know what they get.
Yeah, they're not covered very well
No,
either.
because they're not meant to be seen, are they? But or even if you just covered the front of it with a piece of fabric, you don't need to be a brilliant sewer, you could just glue it almost on.
Or just hand sew it onto the square side.
Of course,
and then add it.
So how good you sewing?
Not very good.
Oh, isn't that?
Well, I can sew, and I have a sewing machine, but I'm always a bit nervous of it. I don't know why.
Oh, how strange.
Yes, and I always like the idea of getting out my sewing machine and sewing, but then I go, I'll just go back to my crochet.
Right. Okay. So where are we going to start? Because we're just concentrating on that one colourway today.
Yeah.
Oh, is this so you've got a sample for it in your shop and everything?
Yes. So what I thought I'd do today is I would demonstrate how to do an alternative granny square.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people know how to do the traditional granny square. They could probably do it in their sleep, but this one is slightly different. And I thought I'd demonstrate how to do a complete square, but then I'd also want to have time to be able to show you how to work in stripes.
You've got plenty of time, so don't worry.
So I can demonstrate how to make a square and then how to join the squares together, because a lot of people ask me when I'm teaching, I've got all these squares, do I sew them together, do I crochet them together? So I thought I would demonstrate how to crochet them together and then how to work in rows rather than rounds.
Brilliant.
Okay, right.
So where do we start then? When we get the pattern home?
Well, so what just a little word about this fantastic self-striping yarn.
Yeah.
The great thing about this kit is that instead of you having to have 6 different colours of yarn, you know, going out to the shops and buying them, one ball of wool has got 6 colours, or I think the pinks has only got 4 different colours. And West Yorkshire spinners have been really clever and put the colours together so they all complement each other really nicely. So I am going to start with the Tutti Frutti yarn, and actually both the traditional granny square and the alternative granny square, they both start in the same way. So the first round is exactly the same.
Okay.
Right, so I'm going to start with a slip knot, and you have to see whether my hands are in the right place.
I'll tell you if they're not.
Okay, so just
I've got one quick question though.
Yep.
If the yarn is does it stop? Hang on, I'm not wording this properly. In the middle of those squares, right?
Yep.
Normally on a yarn that changes colour,
Yep.
it decides when it changes colour,
Yep.
right? But they don't change colour until the end of a round.
That's a really good question, and I will come to that.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
No, it's fine. It's now you could just crochet with the yarn just going along, but you wouldn't get the colour changes in the right place.
Oh well, maybe you would.
Well.
Oh no,
I've tried it out. I've tried it out.
It's only our second show together. I've learnt your faces already.
Yeah, it's
no,
like,
John,
oh,
I don't
no.
think so.
Well, but you get a different effect.
Yes.
So, so what I'll do is I'll do the first round, and then I'll show you how to move on to the next colour. Right. So I've started with a slip knot on my hook,
right,
and I'm going to do.
Move to your right a tiny bit. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
So I'm going to do 5 chains. So yarn around the hook and pull through the loop that's on my hook. 5 times. 1, 2.
That hook looks
3,
really big.
4, 5. This is a 4mm hook, and it's definitely a 4mm, and that's the hook that you'll get in the kit. Yeah. But my tension is very, very loose, so I would actually go down to a 3.5mm hook. Okay. And tension is actually very important with this project. So if I make the first round, and then people will understand that. So I'm now going to make it into a ring by going into the first of those chains and making a slip knot and pulling it all the way through. Okay. Okay. Now with this tail, I'm just going to kind of hold that over the top of these chain stitches, because I'm going to crochet over the top of them, so I don't need to sew them in. Right. Oh, okay. And that makes it easier. So now to start off the round, I'm going to do 3 chains. Yeah, to give it height. I'm learning, you see. That's it. Yeah. And then 2 chains. You're right. So the 2 trebles. So 3 chains and 2 trebles. Right. And so with a treble, you go yarn around the hook, into the middle of the ring, pull through a loop, and you've got 3 loops on your hook. Pull through 2 and pull through 2. Right. And then in the corners of this pattern, there are 3 chains. So I've done the first side, and that's the corner, and then yarn around the hook into the middle and make my chain. So I'm going to do 4 sets of 3 trebles. So that's my second treble. I'm going quite quickly, I know, but I can slow it down on the next round. You see it forming already, look. Yeah. Right, so that's 2 trebles, and then the third. And then in the corner, 3 chains. Would this be good as a first project, do you think? It'd be fantastic as a first project, yeah. Really great for beginners. And in the pattern, it explains how to do the stitches and gives you lots of tips if you've never crocheted before. So it's a great beginner project, but it's also a really lovely project for somebody who can also already crochet and just wants to sort of know what to do. Maybe this should be my first one then. Maybe it should. Yeah. Yeah. So now I've got to the last corner. I've done my three chains. Yeah. I'm coming up to my first 3 chains that I made. Yeah. I'm going to go into the top of the 3rd chain. Right. with my hook.
This would be
do
the
a
bit
slip
I
stitch.
would get confused about, is where to shove the hook through.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just shove it into any hole that you can get your hook into. But right, so I'm just going to pull that all the way through to make a slip knot. Now, if you were doing a traditional granny square, I would then say you'd break the yarn at this point,
Right.
and you'd pull through a slip knot and you make it into a knot. However, because I'm going to be working in continuous rounds from this stitch, I'm going to leave this loop on my hook.
Right, yeah.
And then I'm going to cut the yarn.
Oh, so you do.
Point.
So even though we've not changing colour on the ball, we cut the yarn.
So we're going to cut the yarn and then wind off to the next colour.
Okay.
So wind it all around, because this colour, this length of yarn is exactly the right amount when you come to your next round.
Right, okay.
So you put that yarn to one side.
Right, can I just ask very quickly then, because yours doesn't look like mine. Oh, that's the wrong one. Yours doesn't look like mine, as in mine's a ball.
Yes, it is. And the reason, I was working from a ball and it got really messy.
Okay.
And so I just wound it into a little cake to
Okay,
make
what
it
happens
neat.
if I haven't got a cake maker?
You don't need it. You can work straight from the ball.
Oh, okay, so you can do, I was
you
just looking
can
at
do
yours.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so with the, I was working from a ball like this, but it just, and I was working from the middle of the ball, so it kind of went a bit floppy, and so I just made it neat for television.
Okay. Yeah, we need to get those, we'll tell Rebecca Reed we need more of those cake things, because
wool
every
winders.
expert that comes on has sort of done that, do you know what I mean? So I think we need more of those.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we've got different
changed
colour now.
right? So I've still got the loop on my hook.
Okay, perfect.
And then I'm just going to pull a loop of the second colour through.
Yeah.
And tighten the tail.
Oh, hang on, can you just move to your right a little bit? Sorry.
There you go.
There you go, perfect.
Just tighten the tail of the of that sort of orangey yellow. But then grab hold of the tail of the orange and the purple and lay that on top of the stitches. And again, this is a really a nifty trick, really, of how to avoid having to sew in lots and lots of ends.
Yeah.
And you get loads of ends with granny square. So instead, now with a traditional granny square, you would be going into the chain spaces. But with this alternative granny square, you're actually working into the top of the stitches. So you start in exactly the same way with 3 chains. So three chains. And then your next treble crochet stitch is into the V. Now, I'm going to put my, so I'm going to move those tails out of the way.
Helen's saying, whereabouts in the V do you actually go into? Is it the
Right.
underneath the V or the top of the
It's
V?
actually
Here you go.
under, yeah, that's it. So
Under the V.
So you've got both parts of that stitch on top of your hook.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you turn it to the side, there is a little hole that sort of presents itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get
And then
those
again, are you
tails.
carrying on the old colour underneath, so it's being crocheted in?
So just crocheting over the top of that old colour. So right, so I'm going to finish this treble, and move on to the next one.
Okay.
And then I'll come to a corner chain space, and it's into this corner chain space here that I then make 2 treble crochet stitches. 1, 2.
Purple Rain still in the lead, everyone.
And then I'm in the corner again, so I do 3 chains. And all the time I'm just crocheting over the top of these
so you're going to have no ends.
sewing in, no sewing in,
Sewing in.
so which is everybody's bugbear, really. So 2 more trebles in the corner.
Carol's got a question. What's the difference between a motif and a granny square?
I think they're the same.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. But motifs, you could maybe have them as hexagons or circles or any shape.
Oh, like
motifs.
you were saying, there's a book of them.
Yeah, but
Carol made a large granny square and did the corners to the middle and made the cushion pad to go inside.
Oh.
Does that mean corner to corner?
Might be a corner to corner.
Right. Leslie wants to say thank you to Helen for starting me on circular knitting needles for flat knitting. It's changed my life. Brilliant, says Leslie.
Fantastic.
Claire says these are beautiful cushions, lovely colours.
Aww. Thanks, everyone.
That's all right. And no, Claire, I've never got crochet yet. That's why I say maybe I should get this one. But I think I need a one-to-one class before I start. Right.
Well, classes are starting up again, which
All right,
is
all right.
really lovely.
You live miles away from me, though,
I
don't
know.
you?
Oh,
Where, which part of the world are you?
Hitchin
no,
in
you're not that far.
Hertfordshire.
No.
Yeah, not too far.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about doing some in-person teaching.
But then you still can't sit next to each. You can't. I'd need you to go. No, hold it like this, John, and be there. Hold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm thinking after. Well, we'll see what the
What date
next
it is,
announcement is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully things will make it a bit easier.
Oh yeah.
So I've just come to the
Oh,
corner
yeah,
here,
Yeah.
and just to.
Oh, okay. Now this is so this looks different. So sorry, I wasn't taking any notice. So what stitches were you doing in there?
Still a treble crochet stitch, so that's a UK treble crochet stitch.
Yeah.
And so along the side here, instead of with a traditional granny square, you'd have sets of 3 trebles.
Yes, yeah.
This now on this round,
It's just all trebles.
It's all trebles, and then the chains in the corner.
Yeah.
So along the side, we just need to make sure that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So on this round, it's 7 trebles.
Yeah.
3 chains, and then back along for 7 trebles.
So in a way, this is easier.
It's different in that you're having to go into the top of the stitches.
Right.
And that's what, when you're a beginner crocheter, that's the tricky bit.
Right.
Is knowing where the stitches are and making sure that you're doing 1 in every
But they
stitch.
look really obvious because it's a definite V, isn't it? You're heading for it. If
it
you go,
is,
like Elliot was saying, you go underneath the V.
Yeah.
If you know where you're going to.
But with the traditional granny square, you're just going into a big space.
Yeah.
You're going into a big hole. So that's the easiest way of learning to crochet. And you're not then worrying about if your tension is too tight.
Pull your yarn out, pull your wool out of the ball a bit because you need to go to the right a little bit.
There we go.
Sorry.
I keep getting stuck on the wool. Right. Normally I crochet when I'm sitting down, you see.
Oh,
so
do you want a chair?
No, I'm fine. It's just different when you're standing up.
Elliot's trying to design a new set for us, and he said, I'm going to have 2 armchairs. So that'd be quite good when we do crochet, wouldn't it?
That would be nice,
Yeah.
Nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm coming up to the end here, and I can do 3 chains, and then 2 more trebles into this chain space here into the corner. 1, 2, and then join in 1, 2, 3 into the top of that 3rd chain.
Now, in your instructions, is it written instructions or is it a chart?
It's both.
Oh, okay.
It's both. So you've got a chart for both of the different granny squares, and you've got the written instructions. Okay, so I'm leaving the loop there, ready for the next colour, and then I'm going to cut the purple.
Right.
And then if I turn it over and find those ends from the previous round, then all I need to do is at this point snip them.
Oh yes, because they're all in a whole row of stitches, aren't they? Yeah.
And they're hidden underneath those stitches. So the back of and I'll snip this one as well. So the back of this particular granny square, because you're working in the same direction each time, there's a wrong side and a right side.
Yes, yeah.
And so when you're putting together your squares, you need to make sure they're all facing up the right way.
Right.
So
how can you tell the difference?
Well, you can tell. So this is the wrong side, and it's very smooth.
Right.
If I turn it over, this is the right side.
Oh yes, there's definitely
you can
difference,
see the stitch definition.
Yeah.
So you can
definitely see those trebles, can't you?
You can see the stitches sort of pop out. So yeah, completely different on the back to the front.
Perfect.
Okay. Right. So then
so
again
you wind
off the next. Now, so what I would recommend doing is, because you've got 9 squares to make, I would do all the middles of all 9 squares. So I'll just wind
Oh,
this.
I see. So you did an orange middle, then a purple middle, then you're going on to a pink middle.
Yeah, so you go, because then you'll have the right amount of yarn. For example, I've done for the summer pinks one.
Yeah.
So I've got here, so I've got the colours and the wound off So so there's the middles. So I've done the middles in each of the different colour changes.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is I would move the yarn up like that.
Yes, okay.
And then my next round in
Would
pink
all be in those
would
colours.
be, and it would kind of work so that they would be all different.
Yeah.
With a sort of combination of the colours in order. However, you don't have to be as kind of perfect.
Okay.
You can you can just mix them all up. But as I say, so the yarn that you've wound off after you've done round 1, you use for round 2. And then you've got the yarn for round 3. You will get a little bit left over, but then I worked out that one whole length of colour before it changes is enough to do the final 4th round.
Oh, okay. So whichever order you do it in.
So whichever order you do in, then you'll be left with enough yarn for you to then do your 4th round.
I wonder how they dye it then, because that means that it's not like just variegate. We go or do a yard of pink, 2 yards of yellow. They have to be.
Yeah, I think they're very precise. And I visited the West Yorkshire Spinners factory. It's amazing. It's like being Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Whereabouts are they?
Keighley.
Oh no, because I went to college at Bretton Hall in Yorkshire, so I kind of go to see friends who have not moved away.
Well, I saw their dyeing machine, and it is like something out of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Wow.
It's like, it's so magical. So,
I think I might have to do a visit.
Yeah, go and visit. I think they do kind of factory tours. So what basically the pattern then repeats.
Yeah.
So with the next round would be the pink, and you would then have, instead of, what do we say, 7? How many are on the side? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then the next set of trebles would be 11. So you'd have 11. So it increases each time. Your granny square will increase in the corner by 4 stitches.
Right.
And you just carry on.
So you do, but then are the corners still 3 chains in the air? Or
always, yeah.
So
always
even no matter which round you're on, you always do 3 chains in the corners, but the trebles in between go 4, 7, 11, or whatever it was.
Yes,
then,
exactly,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. There's a lot of maths in
No. Once
crochet.
you're into it, you know that. And also, if you're doing all the middles together, you'll know 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.
Yeah.
Then you do the next one, all 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and you have the pattern in your mind. So I'm not going to finish this
No,
round, but I'll show you the final. So the final round of each square is in a double crochet, and double crochet, the UK double crochet, is a smaller stitch than a treble crochet stitch, and you can see it's a lot shorter than the row below. So I'll just demonstrate if anybody's.
So pretend we're on the last row now.
Yeah,
the last
they're
bits
pretending it's the last row. So I'm going to start just with 1 chain, and then going into the top again. You're going into the top of the V's.
Carol's making a cardigan that's got 99 motifs in it.
Wow.
That'd be a big cardigan.
That's a lot of sewing in ends and sewing them together. But I bet it's beautiful.
Sorry, I interrupted then.
So I'll start again. Instead of a treble where you go yarn around the hook first and then into the stitch, with a double crochet, you just go straight in to the stitch, pull the yarn through. You've got 2 loops on your hook. Yeah. Yarn around the hook and pull through. So that's a double crochet.
So you're not making the third stitch?
No, so you just go in and then pull through those 2 loops. And you do 1 double crochet in each of those treble crochet stitches until you get to the corner. Yeah. And then instead of just doing your 3 chains, you then do 5 double crochet stitches into a corner. Right. So you're going in, 1, straight into the hole, straight into the chain space, 2.
So we haven't done that yet, have we, at all?
3,
on any others?
4, 5. And that just then turns the corner. And makes it a bit sort of a rounded.
Frame,
it's a rounded shape. It's not a harsh corner. If you wanted it to be a squared off corner, you'd add a chain in between 2. You do 2 double crochets, a chain, or maybe 2 chains and 2 double crochets. But with this one, I've just left it
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
rounded, and then you just carry on. But the
And it doesn't matter that it's rounded if even though you're going to sew them together. You don't need a squared off corner.
No, that's it. And I'll come on to that, and I'll show you how to even though they're rounded, how you put them together.
Yeah.
When you come around the corner, it's important not to miss this first treble crochet stitch, and you can kind of see that there's a hole here. Yeah. But because you're crocheting into the corner, it's easy to crochet over the top of that hole. So
what would happen if you did that?
Well, you would be one less. You just have one less stitch, and as it's the last round, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But you pull it apart, and you put your hook in, and then away you go. Right. So then you just crochet your double crochet stitches all the way along to the next corner, and you also do that. So when you've got your 9 squares all together, you then do a double crochet border around all 9 squares.
Once you're sewing them together.
Yeah, that's it. Right. So let's have a look at them all together, and you'll maybe see that I have put them together with stitch markers. So I've put these little stitch markers just to hold them in place. And because they're all random, they're all different, they've all got different middles, and you can kind of play around with where you want the placement of them. Okay,
so now in this one you've mixed and matched your colours
in this
one, haven't you?
I have. I don't know what I did quite. I just sort of mixed and matched, and
I quite like it.
However it came out of the ball, that seems to be how I've done it. There doesn't seem to be, actually this one here, now you were asking what would happen if you just did it without winding it off. Now this square here, you can see that the colour has changed here and here.
And the top left
and
as well,
here. And some people might like that. Some people might like that square is completely random. So that's what would happen, as opposed to, whereas this one, I've gone and divided it up.
Go to the top left-hand one.
This one?
Yeah.
So this one here, there's been a tight, now this is probably because my tension was too loose. If I'd have gone down a hook size, my yarn wouldn't have changed colour at this point. It would have gone all the way around.
Right, okay.
So what I would say is, you kind of, when you're starting off, when you do your first square, have a bit of a play, maybe make one entire square just to see how the colour changes are working out. And then you'll know whether your tension sort of fits with the way the colour changes.
I quite like the formal ones, and then every now and then throw that one of those in just round. Like if you've got 9, I maybe make 2 like that, and all the rest formals, I think.
So I've just started with the purple and then carried on and let the colour change however it comes out of the ball with this one. And I think I probably at that point decided, no, I like them a bit more ordered and just the
Now, the other thing I noticed on that one is all of your frames are the same colour, even though you've done random through everything else.
Yes.
All your frames are the same colour, aren't they?
And the pattern tells you that you use the stripy ball for rounds 1 to 4.
Oh,
and then you use your contrasting plain ball for the double crochet. Yeah, that's It's good to say that. And then you also do use the plain when you're doing the border.
The big border,
The border. Okay.
Right.
So I've decided on how my cushion's going to lay out, and then I've put them together with stitch markers. So and I have actually just cheated a bit and gone ahead and done the border all the way around the 9 stitches. So we're going to make sure that they are right side to right side. I'm going to turn them in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet the 2 squares together all the way in.
Oh, so no sewing?
No sewing, no. Instead, and in fact, I'm going to just go down a hook size, and I'm going to take...
So do we all have to do that? Go down a hook size as well, or can we do it with the 4?
No, you can do it with you could do it with a 4. It's just I'm going down a hook size just because I'll find it easier to
Okay.
be able to get
Yeah.
into the stitches.
And can I ask just very quickly about the tension? Is there a tension square that you have to test to measure afterwards or not? Do you just make it?
No, you just make it. I think in the pattern it tells you what size a square should be if you want to make it for a 14-inch
Cushion. But then if yours come up a little bit bigger,
It
then
really
it's just
doesn't matter.
don't buy your
Yeah.
cushion pad till you've
No,
finished it,
no,
basically.
that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've got our right sides together with our right sides, and then I'm going to put my hook into the first stitches of both of those squares, and I'm just going to pull a loop of yarn through and join it with a chain. So join that into position, and I'm going to start with just a chain just to make it neat.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to do double crochet stitches, but through both sets of stitches,
Right, okay.
and crocheting them together. So I'm putting my hook under the V of the underneath square,
Yeah.
and then the V of the next stitch of the top square, catching the yarn and pulling it through, 2 loops on my hook, and then making a double crochet.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do that with every single stitch all the way along, and there should be about 20 stitches.
And there should be the same amount on either side.
Yeah, they should match.
Yeah.
They don't always match, but they should match. And then so you crochet along, and I'll do a few more stitches, and then I'll show you the effect that it creates on both sides.
It's a bit like people who do sewing. It's a bit like EPP, isn't it? When you've got your cardboard, it's what English paper piece, when you've got your cardboards in and you put your fabric over, and you're just catching the edge of them, and then you can turn them over like that. There you go. You've learnt something today. EPP. You don't need your sewing machine for that.
Right. I'm sure my mum would know what that was. Right. So I'm coming up. And the stitch markers are helpful for sort of just keeping it in place. So
I see. Yeah, so you don't keep pushing it along a little bit further.
So I'm just going to see if you can see that what it does is it creates a ridge on one side along here. So the stitches are sort of thrown over to one side, and then on the front, they're nice and neat and flat. So you've got one flat edge on the front of your cushion, and then you've got a ridge on your back. Now, some people like that ridge as
you're reading my mind. Every question I'm getting ready to say, you're coming out the answer. But if you want the ridge on the front, you can do. You just put the two wrong sides together.
It is. It's just another design feature.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think when I was on last with you, I did my hexagon handbag, and that had the raised stitches on the front of the bag.
Yeah.
So that was more of a design feature.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Harold says she uses your method, so she's got no sewing in the end on the 99 motifs.
it's so good. It's so nice to be able just to crochet over the top of them and then snip them at the end. There's a real satisfying feel about that. Although it's funny, I quite like sewing in ends. Like there are of course ends with the stripes. You've got ends to sew in. But it means that you're at the end of your project. If you're at the point when you're sewing in your ends, you're like, wow, this is the final bit.
Yeah, well, it's like doing the hem if you're making a frock, you know what I mean? You do the hem and that's it once you finish the hem.
And it's satisfying. So I'm coming to the corner here. Now, we talked earlier about how these corners were rounded.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to take the stitch markers out so that they're out of the way. And then when you get to your corner, the fiddly bit, it doesn't necessarily meet. So you've got to make a chain, and that bridges that gap.
Right.
So where there's a bit of a curve here, if you just make one chain and then move on to your next set of squares to join, and then you carry on all the way.
So does that kind of make it squared off by doing that
It does, yeah. It just squares it off and sort of bridges the gap, and you just then move on to your next stitch. So it's always best not to make these double crochet stitches when you do your final round of the square too tight, because you've got to kind of join them. So right. So then what you're doing, you'll notice there's big gaps here.
Yeah.
So and the pattern tells you how to do this. So you crochet all the way along in one direction,
Yeah.
and then you fold it and you crochet along in another direction,
Uh-huh.
and then you fold it in that way,
Right.
and you can crochet along, and that then finishes
Yeah.
them off.
Right.
So, and the pattern just explains how to do that.
Perfect.
So that's just a quick demonstration on how to, how to crochet those squares together.
Brilliant.
And they are as easy as that. Whereas
Yeah.
if you were to sew them, you'd have to pull off a length of yarn, put it onto a wool needle, and then sew it on. This, I find, is a much easier way of doing it, a lot less fiddly.
So you because the frames are all orange, you use orange to sew them together as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or when I say orange, I mean the solid colour
Yeah.
of the. It's just orange in this one, but whatever your solid colour is.
Yeah, exactly. So using the plain colour, then you've got you can do the borders and crocheting them together, and then when you come to the stripes, and I think what I'll do now is I'll demonstrate how to do the stripes. You can alternate between doing, say in this pattern there's sort of I think there's 6 different colours, so you do 6 colours of the stripes, then you do a stripe of the contrasting plain, and then you do the stripes, and the buttonholes for this cushion comes in the stripy section, and then the plain section is just easy.
Plain.
It's just plain.
Right. I tell you actually, it's not like you'd make, if you were dressmaking or sewing, you'd make a separate piece and sew it together. Is the stripes a continuation of, once you've sewn your 9 squares together, you then pick up your edge and then keep going?
Yep, that's it. And this is the nice thing about crochet, is it's different to knitting, where you don't have to leave all of those stitches on a needle to one side to pick up later. Because you are only working with one stitch at a time, you do your border. So when you've crocheted your squares all together, you'll have a straight edge here of double crochet stitches, and then literally you just put your hook in the corner and you start working in stripes. So
even though
really
it's finished off, you put your hook through the end V, do you?
You put your, exactly. So because you're working into the stitches rather than the chain spaces, you then, exactly the same way as we were doing before, you put your hook into the V, into both parts of the stitch.
Because like you say with knitting, if you put it to one side and the stitch falls off the needle, you've then got to try and work out it. But that's completely secure, isn't it?
It is.
Until you then come to do your next bit.
So I finished, and then I cut my yarn so I could wind it into a cake to bring it here, and just to keep it secure so that it didn't start unraveling, I've just used a little stitch marker just to hold that last stitch into place. Okay, so now we're working in rounds. We're working in rows rather than rounds. So for the granny squares, we were going in a circle and all in the same direction. Now we're going to be working in stripes. Now I know many people, when they first start crocheting in rows, find that they, at the end of each row, it's like either going outwards or it's coming inwards.
Oh, okay.
And so it is tricky to keep your edges straight.
Right.
So I'll show you how to do that when you're doing treble crochets in rows. So I'm just going to join my pink here onto the next one. And starting with a turn-in chain of 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3. Now this is the equivalent height.
There you go, perfect. Yep.
So it's the equivalent height of a treble crochet stitch and a treble crochet stitch in its entirety. And I'll explain
but it's a
what
fake one.
No, a fake one is a different one.
Shut up.
I know Wendy talks about fake trebles, and you could start with a fake treble if you were just joining the yarn. But this actually means that you don't need to join the yarn because you're working with the stripy yarn.
Okay.
So I've got my 3. So I've got my 3 chains.
Yeah.
Now the important thing is to know where to make your next stitch. Now you've got. If I turn, you can see the series of V's, but you miss this first V because that is the one where your 3 chains is coming out of.
Right.
So that's your first stitch. So you go yarn around the hook and you move on to the second V.
Right.
Now, if you were to go into that first V, you would end up increasing. So you'd have 2 stitches in one.
Is that why some people's go outwards?
Yes, yeah. And then when you're crocheting, you end up missing the last stitch,
right.
and then you're decreasing and you end up coming in.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people, when they're starting crochet, and they're working in rows, the edges are not straight. So now I'm going to try and be as quick as I can to crochet to the end, so I can show you which stitch to put the last stitch in. And with the self-striping yarn, colour changes at the end of every row. So
how does it know?
So because I've worked out how many stitches that you need for each row for this particular stripy yarn.
Right.
And this is where tension is important.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to the end of your row and your colour is already changing, I would suggest going down a hook size.
Oh, okay.
So that your tension means that you have enough colour in each row.
Yeah. Elliot had a good question earlier, because he said, if you're new to it and you don't know what your tension is, what's to stop you doing 2 with loose tension, then you're in a bad mood and do another one, you do a tight tension. Because you say yours is a loose tension, and it's always a loose tension, is it, whenever you do it?
Yeah.
But if you're wound up or tense, does it not go tighter?
I know, it's funny, because I had a conversation yesterday with someone in my crochet group who said that they'd put their crochet down and hadn't done it for months and months, and then picked it up again, crocheted again, but the tension was so different.
Yeah.
It's because they'd been out of practice. And I think quite often what you do is you get faster, and this is why my tension is quite loose, because I'm a fast crocheter, and therefore your tension gets looser. When you're first learning, you're very uptight, and your tension is maybe a bit tighter. Right. So you would just be able to adjust your tension using different hook sizes.
Do you crochet this fast for pleasure, or are you just doing that for telly?
I do it this fast. Yeah, actually, this sometimes I think there's steam coming off of my hook. I can go fast. So yeah, I'm nearly at the end.
Okay.
And hopefully the colour changes will work out.
All right, while you're doing that, don't we, can I just do, because we're going to run out of time, can I just do a recap of the bundles for you, Kat? Is that what you'd like me to do? So let's just start at the beginning then. So I've got Purple Rain, which was I don't know if it's still in the lead. Oh, that's not Purple Rain. Oh, yes it is, Purple Rain. Still in the lead, Purple Rain will make you this one. No, Elliot did that last time. There you go, that's Purple Rain with a cream background. That's it done in the alternative. Then I've got Prism Brights, which is this one. Second most popular. It's only one behind, actually. Yep, there you go. We love that one. Then I've got, now Elliot, it's that one now. I've got Summer Pinks is the next one. That one. Now remember, you can choose between traditional granny squares like that or the alternative. Then I've got Technicolor, which has got the navy, or not the navy blue, but the cobalt blue background. There it is. Hang on, sorry, poor old cats. No, that's not traditional.
Technicolor. Oh, that's the alternative.
The pink one's traditional, and the other one is striped, but that's not Technicolor. The Technicolor is the one with the blue background there. And then last but not least, we've got this one, which is Tutti Frutti, which we don't have one made, which was the orange one you just saw doing there. See, saying that now. I just want to do that because we're about to run out of time. I don't want to lose you.
And that's perfect timing, because I'm at the end here.
Yeah.
So I have got to my last 2 stitches.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go yarn around the hook into the top of this treble crochet stitch. And then it's important not to miss your turn-in chain of 3 chains.
Yeah.
Because then your last stitch, you go yarn around the hook, and then you go into the top of that turn-in chain. It's always a bit fiddly, but you go into the chain and you make your last stitch. And then you'll have exactly the right number of stitches for you to have your stripes. And then you can see here with my yarn, I have got enough of the light pink.
Oh, only just.
Before,
oh, no.
yeah, only just before it changes to purple. No,
Magenta.
what would you say? Magenta,
Fuchsia.
yeah, fuchsia. And but I want to start with the fuchsia for the next row, so I'm just going to make a loop. Now you can see I've done that with the.
Yes.
So I've just looped it, and then I've just started with my next colour after the loop. And then at the end, what you can do is you can cut the top of the loop, tie it in a knot, and then you do have to sew those in.
Yeah.
Although, when you come to making up your, sewing it into a cushion cover, you're then going to be folding it over, and you can again crochet along the edge. So you can kind of catch these edges, although I have found that it makes it quite bulky if you don't just sew them in.
Right, okay.
Okay.
And then the buttonholes are just dropped stitches?
Yeah, the buttonholes are just 3 chains, or 3 chains, miss 3 stitches, and then carrying on to your next buttonhole.
Perfect.
So the buttonholes in crochet are really easy.
Excellent. Helen, that was absolutely brilliant. We've had a nice message from, well, we had lots of nice messages, but Helen said, what a brilliant demonstration. Carol says that was brilliantly done. So that was a lovely, the thing is, I said to Rebecca Reed earlier, these hours go too quickly. It's kind of, we're only just getting into it and it's over. When are you in next?
Next month, when I will be demonstrating a couple of shawl designs.
Brilliant. And the next Yarn Lane is on Friday the 11th. Oh, it's me. And it's 11% off everything. 11% off everything that day. Now, I've got to very, very quickly tell you, this is to do with sewing, not knitting. The 570A one has popped back into stock. So if you want to buy a 570A sewing machine, you can do. There's only one left. It's a brilliant sewing machine. But it's not at Stockport. It's here in our warehouse here. It's not the one we use. It's not the one that Jules clunked up earlier. It's not that one. It's a brand new one in our warehouse. So if you want that one, so one hasn't popped back actually. It's just they found one in our warehouse. Right, I'll see you tomorrow morning on Sewing Street. Thank you very much for your company today. Thank you, Helen. That was absolutely brilliant. And make sure you check out your baskets. That's all I'm going to say. Because on Yarn Lane, we know what you do. You sit and watch the whole hour, and then we go for our lunch. And we hear bing, 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 bing when you're all checking out. Please make sure you check out your baskets so you don't miss out. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Don't be late.
Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again.
Are you a fan of Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? Why not join our growing Facebook fans pages? Just search Sewing Street Fans and Yarn Lane TV Fans on Facebook and click Join Group. It's that simple. Never miss out on the latest news and updates from our presenters and guest designers, special offers and plenty of chat with your fellow fans. Share photos of your makes, ask for advice, interact with your favourite guests and presenters and be a part of the ever-growing sewing and yarn community. See you there!
We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out.
Have you heard about Yarn Lane, a TV show dedicated to knitting, crochet and all things yarn, bringing you demonstrations from our expert guests as well as the latest tools. And find out what's coming up on the show by following us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our email newsletter or visit the programme guide on our website at www.yarnlane.com.